Sharon. And good morning, everybody. You're here with Lynn and Sharon, and we are studying. Let me get here. I got the wrong window up, but that's okay. I can fix it. We're studying or we're reading the book Never Forget to Laugh by Carol Howe, and it's the story of um, Bill Thetford. It's his life. So, and last week I could not, it would not allow me to put it won't allow me,
Marker.
yeah, it won't allow me, look at that. Won't allow me to put a marker here. But
I
I
think you
can
got to
just,
turn back. I don't remember this.
okay, all right. Let me see. There might be a thing, there'll be a thing that'll say go to the, um,
I don't mind repeating it. Who cares? It's
oh
just,
yeah, no kidding, me neither. Okay, so let's, um, let us just go back to, um, uh, Helen about hearing her voice. How about that? And we'll just read from
yes,
here.
that's a good one.
Okay, good. All right. All righty then. Think we're all cool and everybody can hear us everywhere we need to be heard. Well, let's switch this over to share computer. Oh, I think that's the one I was able to do. Um, yeah, okay. Or same as system, I think it is. I don't know if people are on gather in the Pal Talk room. If you can hear us, maybe put a little Y or thumbs up or something in the chat. And the other way I can tell is if I ramble on for a minute, we'll see.
You have to let this, I can't see the reading though if you have this thing up.
What thing is up?
The Pal Talk.
Oh, you're seeing Pal Talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I see it all. Like the Pal Talk is, yeah, you have to just, there's nobody in there anyway. But you never
There.
know. In a couple years, maybe, oh wait, is she, okay. All right.
All right. Can you see the reading now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. And everything is going through it. People can hear everything and yeah. What
All
thing is
right.
okay, yeah, we're right.
All
Okay,
right.
so do you want to read starting with I was given?
I was given a short sort of mental explanation in the form of series of related thoughts that crossed my mind in rapid succession and made a reasonably coherent whole. According to this information, the world situation was worsening at an alarming pace. People all over the world were being called on to help and were making their individual contributions as part of an overall prearranged plan. I had apparently agreed to take down a course in miracles as it would be given me. Now, I really believe that's true. I think that, just because I've had so many different audiobooks, I have one by Carolyn Miss that is about the sacred self. And we really do make a plan with the, universe or, universal mind before we come in. So everybody that we meet is perfect always. So
Yeah.
she's saying here, the voice was fulfilling its part in agreement as I would fulfill mine.
Oh,
I
and
would
by
be
the way, excuse me, before you go on, that plan was made at the moment of the tiny mad idea.
right. It just shot
That
out. Isn't it
it,
amazing? I mean,
the
we could just,
entire plan for the
right.
entire uh,
Yeah.
atonement was made at that time. So there's not like, I died today and I made a plan for what I'm going to do in the next life. No, it was already planned. We're just moving from plan to plan to plan.
Right. Now, what makes sense to me is that we will never understand this as on a finite mind can't understand it.
Egos
This is,
can't understand it.
right. And how it happens because, we have been under a hypnosis that's divine hypnosis, actually, not remembering. But because of the acute emergency, however, the usual slow evolutional process of spiritual development was being bypassed in what might be described as celestial speed up. I could sense the urgency that lay behind this explanation. Whatever I might think about its content, the feeling was conveyed to me that time was running out. I remember that phase, celestial speed up, from my earliest conversations with Bill. It seemed odd but accurate. Now, 30 years later, it is even more so. Our world appears to be increasingly less stable, more complex, the years moving by an accelerated pace. William Whitson, introduced later in the chronology, writes, unknowingly, Bill and Helen had forewarned and forearmed America for what Helen believed was coming social and metaphysical crisis. Now that crisis seems to be upon us. A Course in Miracles reminds us that we are completely confused what is valuable and what is not. Our values are upside down and backwards, and we put precious and powerful attention on what doesn't matter, steadfastly ignoring what does. You know, it's funny because we're so conditioned as egos to just think that our thoughts actually mean something or that what someone did means something. And it's all about attention because our minds are so powerful. How do we slow down and realize that we are not who we thought we were, really? Because the persona of who we are is just a thought. It can't do anything. You know, and then of course the body is neutral. So it's just this part of us that really, and what is the ego? It really doesn't want to be here now. That's how I see the ego. To be here now, it has to come up with a lot of stories. So she's saying, Carol, we believe our actions and their influence are of great importance, but thoughts are our own private business, and being invisible and silent do not count for much. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's like a complete, you know, all we're doing all day is just watching thoughts, believing, and then the ego is a memory, and that's all it is. And it's bringing up these memories of past and future. But what is that? That's just thought. So to be in the now, holy instant, is when the thoughts decide to just get balanced out. You know, because the ego is not a bad thing; it's necessary, but it's bringing up, and it's always bringing up stuff so we will grow spiritually, I think.
Yeah,
Hence, we set
exactly.
great store on the externals of our lives, our careers, material possessions, the face we present to the world, while being oblivious to our eternal processes. With this in mind, we begin Bill's story with highlights of his external life, early history, the jobs he held, his overriding interest, those areas that were compelling and fascinating for him. These will serve as the framework for becoming better acquainted with his interior life, his choices, struggles, gifts, and most of all, his loving presence.
That's amazing. And you know, this is really interesting. Uh this whole concept of things are getting crazy. And it's like, you know, that I think the whole idea of time moving faster and faster is because we're getting closer and closer to the end of it. And so that's why, like during the 60s and 70s, whatever, you know, there were people like, you know, the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi bringing us transcendental meditation, you know, and the Beatles making that really popular. And you know, Baba Ram Dass, you know, going to India, taking acid, writing a book called Be Here Now. Whoa, you know,
Right.
be here now. What,
And it's just a reflection. You know, what I used to get really confused was like, well, what's heaven look like? Well, we never left heaven. Heaven is this awareness, and we are absolutely blinded by form. Anyway, go ahead. Over to you.
oh, okay, all right. All righty. Um, okay, so did you end on abundantly cared for? Yeah. Okay. Lest one think Bill's life was easier or more charmed than others, and that living the course was inherently less challenging for him, his early years come alive via excerpts from an essay entitled, quote, I Live Again, which he wrote as an English assignment when he was 15 years old. Of his parents, John Randolph and Edna Mae Thetford, he wrote, Then began an early married life of hard work and sacrifice, and of the rearing of three children. John Jr., the first child, died in infancy after 7 days' struggle for life. A curly-haired, beautiful baby girl, Patricia Ann, next entered our busy household 3 years later. On a bleak April morning in Chicago, Illinois in 1923, the author of this chronicle first saw the light of day. When I look back upon what a strong-tempered little vixen I was, always getting this into scrapes, I realize how much extra trouble my behavior caused her, his mother. So he was born in April 1923. He must have been an Aries or Taurus. I'm not sure. Okay. I always thought he was born in July. I don't know why. He died in July, but okay. So I realized how much extra trouble my behavior caused her, his mother. Excuse me. Patricia was the big dominating force of my early life outside of mother. The sun rose and set upon Patsy Ann. I was her constant shadow and continual worshiper. A fostering of an unmanly interest in dolls and tea parties and other effeminate things was the result of my close association with Patsy and her girlfriends. In fact, my fascination for the opposite sex has never deserted me. In May of 1930, when I was 7 years old, my beloved sister was stricken with a fatal infection of the throat. 3 days later, she passed away, leaving our family dazed with grief, hardly believing that death could strike one so young and vibrantly alive. Even now, after 8 years have elapsed, remember he's writing this when he was 15, and it scarcely seems possible that the playmate of my youth can be gone. The following December, after having been quarantined for 3 weeks with scarlet fever, I arose one morning only to find my body racked with rheumatic pains and fever. This led within a few weeks to a serious heart ailment. For 3 months, I was unable to raise my head off the pillow. During these long months of fighting to live, Mother was my nurse, playmate, and teacher. Considering my illness as only a temporary thing, I soon began to plan as to how I would spend my days in the outdoors, playing baseball and other games and sports, until I overheard a telephone conversation in which my mother in whispers remarked that I would not be able to get out of bed for at least another year and a half. Wow, that's bad. I mean, think about that. How sad. His sister died, and then he got this horrible uh rheumatic fever and was basically an invalid at a very young age. And oh my gosh, and what how that must have shifted him and changed him. Oh my gosh. So Carol continues. Bill told me that he was devastated by that conversation and made a determined choice to live despite the doctor's gloomy prognosis, rather than have his parents suffer the loss of all three of their children. Early on, he seemed aware that he had a choice in the matter, quite a challenge for a 7-year-old and revealing of his heightened awareness. In retrospect, Bill recognized that his serious illness, commencing 6 months after his sister's passing, was not a coincidence. Those who work with grieving families observe that siblings of children who die often feel guilty that they remain after the brother or sister has gone, or they worry over the effect of the death on their parents' stability and thus on their own welfare and or try diligently to deny the loss in their young lives. A Course in Miracles is unequivocal about the role that guilt, fear, and anger play in projecting the dis-ease or disharmony within our minds onto the physical body, and the role forgiveness plays in restoring both mind and body to health. Hundreds of pages address this topic in no uncertain terms. Sickness is the decision. This is from the Course. It is not a thing that happens to you, quite unsought, which makes you weak and brings you suffering. It is a choice you make, a plan you lay, when for an instant truth arises in your own deluded mind, and all your world appears to totter and prepare to fall. Now you are sick. That truth may go away and threaten your establishments no more. And there's a footnote that says where that is, but I'm not going to go look for it because maybe I can. Let me see if I can do that and it won't kick me out of here. Number 6. Lesson 136. Okay. Now, oh, it took me right back there. Yahoo. Okay. Uh, we're close to it anyways. All right. In his essay, Bill continues, the world all of a sudden caved in upon me. It was unbelievable that I must lie flat on my back, imprisoned by 4 walls for that seeming eternity. Gradually, however, I became accustomed to the thought, and soon it held no terror for me. Constant reading and the kindness of our family friends made the days fly but too quickly. Despite relapses, when I hovered near death's door, I continued to progress until after 2.5 years of shut-in convalescence, I took my first step outside. Wow, 2.5 years being inside and not even going out. Wow. My
And
first,
the thing is, like when you really look at what his mother went through, I mean,
oh,
she she had 2 children die. So, and
yes,
then she was dealing with Bill.
yeah.
So,
I mean, they must have been terrified that they were going to lose
what's
somebody.
sad to me that people think they come here to be better people, to learn, so then, they'll be better in heaven or whatever. That's not at all why we're here. And that's where I think finding this teaching and every teaching like this is just like a rescue. It's what Keith calls the Course in Miracles a rescue mission.
It is.
And why it's a rescue mission? Because nobody on this planet is not in pain. You can't be here and not have pain. So,
Right. And the thing is that we chose this. We chose to come
right.
here and be that at this very moment. Back in the time when we made the first plan, you and I, Sharon, said, or what we are now, we'll be there. We're gonna come there and we're gonna give up our own selfish thoughts about our world and our life, and we're gonna turn our life over to Christ. And we're gonna let Christ lead and tell us what to do and when and how. And that is a tremendous um it's a gift to the sonship that we give up our life for this. And I'm not, bragging or saying, wow, aren't I great? I'm just saying that this is, the purpose of us doing this is um, just to rescue the world, to
Well, it's just
rescue our
about healing the
planet.
mind. We're in this mind and we're all connected.
Yeah.
That's where we're joined, not in the seeming projection that's out there. So as we heal, we just send the light into the mind for other beings to get to light up. And somehow they wake up. That's how you and I got to this point.
Oh,
Had to
yeah.
be.
Yeah, I mean there were all sorts of people that were pushing us and helping us and
Yep.
known to us without any kind of, remembrance of any of them. But there will be a time when we will remember and we'll be like, oh yeah, yeah, we look at this grand thing we did together. And just like Dove talks about at the end of the play when the curtain goes down and then it comes up and they're all standing there, all the good guys, bad guys, everybody in the whole thing is standing there holding hands and taking a bow. That's what we'll be doing. Taking a bow at the end of it all. Um, but of course, everyone will be both we'll be on all sides of it because we'll be the audience and the because we're only one thing. And this makes me think about in that book, The Age of the Heart. I don't know if you've read that yet.
Oh, yeah. I'm reading it now. I love it.
So last night we have a little group that meets on Monday nights at what time is it? Anyway,
8:30 Eastern. Yeah.
yeah, it's after our regular. Are you on that group? Have you been coming in?
I get stuff, but I don't go because it's so late. But I'm doing
Okay.
it on my own, and I'm hoping that we will bring that book into one of our groups.
Well,
Just because
we could do that next if you want.
depends. Like I want everybody to vote on it, but yeah, I love that book. I think
Yeah.
it's wonderful. What I
It's
love about it is the age of the heart is really what's happened. I mean, if you go with our parents' time. when they were here, they didn't have the options of internet. They didn't know they'd have to go to India, or they'd have to be, really in a place where they're guided to wake up. And
Right.
again, it's happening in the mind. It's not happening in the world because there's no world. This is all projection. So I would believe at this point that, we signed up for this. We all did.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So last night in the Age of the Heart, we were doing chapter 21, I think it was, and it's about the Ark. And we were talking about because when I read it, what came to me or what I understood is that I am the Ark, and
Right,
that all everything comes, with Noah in the Ark, he took the animals and left the people. That wasn't a big rescue story, knowing the ark.
right,
That
right.
was a big, God's gonna kill everybody, and
Yeah.
only the few people that got on the ark lived, and then the rest of them all died, because they were drowned. But that's not nice. But I was when I read it, it just gave me this. Uh, let's see. It just gave me a total belief and understanding. It says here, you are a holy heart capable of embracing everyone and everything in love. Creation returns and remains in divine reality through humanity. Um, he's saying in our heart we
Mm.
can embrace everything and everyone, and that's our purpose here, is to uh is to hold everything in our heart, uh all the people, and be the actual ark that everyone is saved through. So, and it's not, I mean, it's all of us who are doing this. We're all doing the same thing. And some more aware that they're doing it, which we are, but a lot of people are not aware that they're doing it, but they're still doing it. They're not, there's no one who's not a part of this
No,
whole
it's
way.
everybody's playing their part, and there can't be one that's not. And they might seemingly be in their head thinking, well, my child, my money, my job, all of that, those are just thoughts, but they're playing their part. And, usually like when we come in, the personality self is already designed for us to be a certain way and act a certain way, and loss is all scripted. The thing is, you can't fail this because it's happening from divine, and divine would never set us up for failure.
Right. And we haven't failed it because it's already
Right.
over. So,
Yeah, it's already over.
so
Yeah.
perfect. So let me see. So I was in the middle of this paragraph and I stopped and talked. So he says, despite relapses, when I hovered near death's door, I continued to progress until after 2.5 years of shut-in convalescence, I took my first step outside. My first glimpse of the brilliant blue of the sky after months of seclusion caused me to emit a gasp of wonderment. At the time, I thought it was the most beautiful sight I had ever seen, and I was very unsteady on my feet, and in fact, I had to learn anew how to walk. My rediscovery of the world is the most thrilling and vivid of all my recollections. Being out of circulation had made me very shy, and I found it extremely difficult to mix with people. So, this is part of why he was so shy, and why Jesus helped him by giving him prayers and actual telling Ellen, tell Bill this and tell Bill that. So, pretty cool that he had Jesus to help him out.
Oh, absolutely. When you really realize that a lot of people use Jesus, they say, Jesus help me, Jesus this, Jesus that. And they're really talking about the infinite self because there's no Jesus here. If there's no you and I, it's
Right.
just this happening, and we are projecting these pictures of us. But we are, and I do feel at this time in my learning that when people aren't reading the course the way I am, it's okay. It used to cause this ego in me. No, they're not doing it right. They're saying this, they're saying that. And now I realize, how do I know what their undoing is? I don't.
Right. You don't even know what world they live in.
Right. You don't know a thing. You don't
Their
know. And so
reality is
let it all
completely different.
be. Right. No judging, just be with. And, now with the election coming, closer, I realize that, President Trump is the poster child for the ego. I mean, he has a lot of ego.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's not his fault. He's playing his part well. And obviously, we picked him. So
Yes, thank you,
it's,
thank you, thank you. Not even, we picked him from the very beginning, and it
yeah.
was part of the first plan.
Right.
We said now this is going to come a time when, people are really going to have to be freaking out and worried so that they will absolutely want to turn to the Holy Spirit. And the thing that I think for me, my understanding is that as we do our work and when we continue to progress as miracle workers and continue to be miracle workers, what's happening is we're shortening the time. We're letting go of our judgments so that time is actually collapsing. So the necessity for someone to become a real tyrant over us is less and less and less because we're doing our work and shifting the consciousness of the world. And as if we're doing our work well, then what will happen is there'll be a benevolent leader and a benevolent world because that's what we're doing. We're taking out, we're forgiving all of the injustice, we're forgiving all the fearful thoughts, we're forgiving all the things that are making it necessary for us to see the result of that. You
Yes.
get what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's all just a plan. And if we look at it as a blueprint and we realize that there is nobody that's going to hurt us, we want this so we can expand and just unless there will appear to be suffering. But suffering really just happens in the mind. And excuse me, and what I saw in myself is how much this mind enjoyed being the ego and enjoyed hating at times. You have to look at that and say, do you really want that? Because there's an enjoyment in that. And it's just the way the ego operates, like,
Yes.
I don't like him.
Well, and that's, that's what Jesus is talking about in the course when he's talking about the attraction to guilt, the attraction to
Yes,
death. We're attracted to it because it's interesting to us that it
right.
gives us makes us feel good about ourselves. Oh, I'm a better person than that. I mean, it really just is a trap that the ego is very sticky flypaper. So
It is. And it's so important to laugh because, again, if we're not conscious of the moment and we're just in our head, we will have judgments come up. But what I've been doing a lot is laughing and laughing at the characters too, because at this point, if you watch the political scene, you have to realize this can't be real. This can't be a real
right.
world that would allow all this.
Yeah, it would be crazy, wouldn't it? And I mean, it looks
Well, it is as it is,
crazy.
but it's true. Yeah, you have to, but again, what I've watched with my family is the fear,
Yes.
and that's just the ego. Like one of my siblings is very upset for Israel. They just feel so, and they don't understand why I say, well, I don't think fighting on any level is good. I will not like just say because I was born this religion that there's a difference. But that comes with spiritual growth. And it comes when the divine decides. And, it's all planned. So we don't know. But, to complain and worry about one side over the other, that's just saying that it's what the Course in Miracles says, all of it, is not justified because who we are. We love each other. So
Right.
just like send love, go into your inner being and just see the light, and the light will eventually heal. And we can't see in the world what it's doing, but it's happening within us. So,
Right, right. And yeah, and so it may seem like there's nothing going on or that nothing is getting better or everything is getting worse. But, you have to have faith that there are millions of us that are here that are practicing non-judgment, practicing letting go of the ego, practicing letting go of, all the things that seem to be causing so much trouble in the world. And the more we let go of it, the less there is of it. It just absolutely shifts. It's like, completely shifts the entire sonship eventually, because, you'll reach a point where there won't be any reason for people to be mean or bad anymore. The
Right.
fear will be gone because we're making the world a less fearful place. And
Yeah.
that's why, A Course of Miracles, the thing that frustrates me, if I'm really honest here, is that a lot of Course of Miracles students are like, well, it's all about me and I have to fix my life. And I remember when this bad thing happened to me and and it's like, this is not what this course is about.
No, but you have to get there. You can't get
Yeah,
there until
yeah,
you're there. Because I did
yeah.
that.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
did that too.
yeah, I did a lot of this stuff to believing I was, in A Course in Miracles, it says you're no different than a grain of sand. And that's the truth because
Yeah,
we are life force, who we really are. The personality is actually, it's not important, but
yeah,
we are believing that it is, like that
yes,
God is watching us and it's just a happening through us, right?
it is. Absolutely. So,
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
life force, what does that mean? Well, it's just this awareness that we just see that everything is just unfolding perfectly. It's an
Yes.
unfoldment of love.
And that's what we are. We are an enfoldment. We're not even an individual being.
Right. That's
We're a channel of God's love. And the clearer our channel becomes, the more of God's love can come through also. And I think
yes.
that that's true as well. So yeah, and you're right. I did the same thing. But geez, look at all the years I went through. This person did that to me, and I didn't. But my God, just let's have some cheese with that wine. But
But it
that's
has to kind of fall away, especially with some of my stories, because they appeared to be very traumatizing, right?
right,
And yet
right,
the very thing that traumatized me was the thing that was setting me free. So when Jesus says in the Course, you don't know the difference between your retreats and your advances. When I would be crying, a lot of Course people would say, well, you're never going to wake up if you cry. You're not going to wake up. That has nothing to do, that is the waking up. It's breaking it's breakthroughs of thought. And
right.
as that happens, it's bringing on the grief of even being here, because being here is, or seeming like we're here, it's so obvious to me how much we miss that absolute joy. I mean, if we feel it here, that's one thing, but when we're not in this body, it's probably just, we couldn't even handle that love.
Yeah.
So.
So let's see. So you want to read from the beginning?
Yeah, I'll just read a little bit. Okay. From the beginning, Bill was innately at home in the world of the abstract. And for him, this inner world was real, vivid, and as satisfying as if he were physically engaged. He credits reading and family friends as causing the time to fly. But that observation is incomplete. He doesn't mention his rich inner life, taking that for granted and very little likely assuming, as we all do in our earlier years, that everyone processes life as we do, and that our own approach to circumstances is the norm. That is hardly the case. He wrote this essay before he knew about personality types or had yet realized that not everyone had such readily available intuitive ability. His being socialized to be alone was actually in keeping with his basic tendencies. People today, particularly those with more outgoing temperaments, might find such confinement unimaginable, considering there were no TVs, video games, or cell phones for distraction. Look at that. Now, see, the thing is, the computer, cable, and the whole internet really had us grow. But here, when he was growing up, there was nothing. There was nothing. So you had probably a quieter mind. If I think about the fact that, we're all plugged in, interconnected. And so the internet's in us too. So that's the energy, where, we're always being tempted. We have temptation to to pay attention to the world and what it really means. And it really means nothing. It's so important to realize the only meaning it has is love, or a call for love.
Exactly.
It
Exactly. And
also,
when we were coming up, we got TV, I think when I was about 4. And then but we lived in a little small town where the only way you got TV reception was through a cable, and that cable had a very limited, there was really not much of anything that you could watch. We didn't watch TV, it wasn't something that was anything I did on Saturday morning. I'd get up and watch cartoons, but that was it,
yeah,
really.
I loved it though. The funny thing is the TV, and it can be used for a good, you can learn a lot. You can, sometimes our life is heavy, so there's distraction there that might help us. But all in all, the TV is probably, something of an addiction for this mind, because I do enjoy watching shows with my husband, but even that we tend to bring right back to us, when we're talking with each other. And
Yeah,
really, whatever you do here, if you do it with the conviction of love and kindness and humor, it doesn't really matter what you do,
exactly. And that's absolutely the truth. So,
as long as your
that's
state of mind. Yeah.
because now the other thing too with having the TV is that, especially as things have progressed, we know what's going on in other parts of the world when it happens. Before, when there was a war in Europe, it took,
You know.
2 weeks for the message to get over here. People had to come on a ship, or I mean, it was
Right.
not like, if your family was, being sent to Auschwitz, you might not know about it until, it was over. And so, now we know, oh man, there's a war here, there's a war there, people are doing this, so there's a lot more knowledge of what's going on with other, in other parts of the world. But then that's also, I think, more knowledge of our own insane mind too.
And they are insane, all of them.
Yep, absolutely. Oh my gosh, my OneDrive just popped up a little picture of my granddaughter playing volleyball years ago. Do you get that?
How many do you have? How many grandchildren?
I have, let's see, there's Jason and Sammy and Arthur and Taya and Hayden and Aaliyah. So 6. And then
Wow.
one great grandchild, Delilah. So
How awesome. Now, did Regis move near you?
yeah, yeah, he's on the other side of the boulevard from where my daughter lives, right in the same kind of
Oh,
neighborhood.
so you'll be able to get together.
Yes, yeah, we will. I haven't seen Regis since he's been here. They're staying in a motel, waiting
Right.
for their furniture and everything to come over. Um, and they don't have
That's,
their vehicles, I don't think, yet. So, because they had a transport service bringing their vehicles. So,
yeah.
I haven't seen either of them. Hopefully tomorrow on my day off, um, I'll be able to, get over there. But with my time, I don't have a whole lot of time to be running around either.
No, and that's kind of good for you. You don't need to, we're both older now. Like running around is not, I have no interest in that. Do you? I would like to see him though. I love him. I love
I know, I
Regis.
know. I'll tell you though, as the weather gets better, and this is one of the reasons I'm real excited about him being here, and Tracy, his wife, because we will go, up to, different places, up to Canyon City, go to the Royal Gorge, we'll go different places with them, and spend time with them and such. So, that makes me really happy.
Me too. What brought him to Pueblo? I wondered. Just, you
I
don't know?
hate to say me because
Right.
but it just seems kind of odd that he would move to someplace like this. Same thing as when Regina moved here. You know, what brought Regina to Pueblo? And we've
She got
always
a, she had like a dream that said it,
she had a
Pueblo.
dream that said it, yeah. But why? You know, why here where for me, to me, this is my own personal thought because of me. I wouldn't be here talking to you right now.
Right, because as you're being called, yeah, because we're not people. So, and we're
Right.
not even in these places. Right. But it's funny because now Colorado is blue, right? It's a blue state.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. See,
Well, we're
again,
kind of purple. We're kind of there's a big percentage. Well, Lauren Boebert is from Colorado. You know, we're purple basically,
okay. Mhm. Hi,
but
Myrna.
for
She
the
can't
most
hear.
part, we're blue here. So, uh,
Right, right.
Hi, I just unmuted. Hi.
Hi, honey. Yeah,
it,
so it's kind of like I loved it when I was there with you. But we are going to have a gathering someday. I just don't know where we'll have it, for our
yeah,
group. Wherever
Great.
it is, I'm going to go.
but I mean, to me, it's kind of odd and interesting that, because they come up here from Tennessee, where it's very green and lush, and they come out here to, I
It's
mean,
a
they
whole,
came to
but
visit.
Tennessee is maybe they wanted to change. It's got, again, if it's red, they're a harsher state. And
Yeah,
that's just me
that's
to
true.
saying
They
that.
have harsher laws and not
Right.
as friendly. Yeah, so anyway, so they did come
And
here to
that's
visit.
perception too. But think about it. Like my granddaughter's in Florida and she just can't wait to leave. She just
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
like
no
it.
kidding. The Myrna's in Florida and she loves it, but
Oh,
Myrna is not one of those people. I mean, she's not transgender and she's not African American and she's not, I mean, she's just a, sweet little white lady.
Right,
So
right.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they
Well, it
love her.
depends where she lives, right? In
Yeah,
Florida. Like my granddaughter lives Boca.
that's
Where do you live, Myrna?
I'm making a joke.
I live in Boca Raton, Florida. I tell everybody, to me, Florida is the garden spot of the world. I mean,
Well, it's funny because I didn't know you, but I was living there for about 6 months because my grandchildren lived there.
uh-huh.
And I was helping their mom, you know. Again, it wasn't as friendly as I would like it to be, but I was just there 6 months. So, and I
Uh,
talked to walls. I could care less who the person is, where they are. I love people. So
yeah,
it was just
yeah,
like and that was what, almost 20 years. So
Well,
anyway, here I'm gonna go
the
on.
thing is
It
with
also,
mainly with Florida though, a lot of people that are there are transplants.
right.
You
Yeah.
don't have, I mean, there's a lot of Florida native people, obviously, but a lot of people there came from other places, and so there's that's kind of the same here with Colorado. There's a lot of people in Colorado that came from other places, and so you can always tell when they're you know I mean, it's almost a given. You can be following somebody and they got, I don't know, Texas license plates. You got to know they're going to do something dumb. They're, I mean, that's just kind of a given.
and
Anytime anybody does something like, there have been several incidents where, people in uh, like all-terrain vehicles or whatever, and they go up on to a trail that's marked closed by the state closed. You can't drive on here. They move the things over and they drive up on it. The next thing you know, they're stuck, and you have to have the Forest Service come out and rescue them. And every single time it's like, oh, let me guess, were they from Texas?
Right.
I
It's
mean, that's a
just it's
generalization, but it actually does happen.
That's where I'm headed actually in 2 weeks to see my stepdaughters in
Oh,
Texas.
cool.
oh,
Are you
great.
going to
Yeah, because
see Miss Cher?
yeah, in Dallas. Yeah, I am
Oh,
going to see her and
hallelujah.
Vivian. And again, there'll be no political conversation,
Oh,
none.
no, no, there's no point to it.
Nada, because that would be
Yeah.
me just being Sharon the person rather than Sharon the love. Because
Right, exactly. That's how when I talk with my sister on the phone and she's, completely different. We don't
Mhm.
talk about that. What we talk about is
Right.
Jesus. We both agree on Jesus. We talk about our family and our children. We
Yep.
all agree on that. Let's talk about the things that love uh holds us together with. And all the rest of that is just, I mean, really, honestly, people change their minds all the time about politics and religion. So there's no point in getting involved, engaged with the ego in that kind of discussion.
No,
And
it's fear. It's
and
just
it's
every
fear.
part of fear and sickness. When we're talking about sickness, we're talking about the ego because it's a sick mind.
Yep.
So, I want to tell you Thursday, I will, if you can remember this, I won't be there. I have a funeral. My cousin
Oh,
passed away. Yes, it was Sunday night in the middle of the night or in the morning. He's 67. He was schizophrenic when he was 19. And he had a very challenging life. And he's a brilliant artist. And he died of pneumonia recently. And I got to tell you, I went there on a couple times just to see him. And I knew that the best gift would be that he just goes. So just try to remember anyway, Thursday, but I'll tell Dub too.
okay. All right. So let's see, we have about 6 more minutes.
Okay. From
Let's
the
see.
Sorry
beginning.
about your cousin, Sharon. Sorry about your cousin.
Yeah, I'm sorry
Yeah.
too, but I'm also thinking it was the best thing that could have happened to him because he was so sick. And then he had this awful disease, and it's funny because they talk, Ken Wapnick would talk about schizophrenia, saying we all are, because we're listening to a mind that truly is nuts, right? But this was a different thing. This voice in him had him do some very, very harsh things to himself. So I just believe that, whether he comes back, I don't know, it gets, but he was the most beautiful, beautiful soul. And
Well,
thank you.
his soul lives on. We know that. That we
Oh,
learned
yeah,
in that
right. He's
much.
fine now. He's out of
So yeah, so he was here doing his part. Yeah,
yes,
and in our healing and in your healing and now in
yes.
my healing because now I'm hearing about him and I'm it's all for the same thing. So let's see. So where are we at?
He doesn't mention his richer inner life, taking
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and read.
He doesn't mention his rich inner life, taking that for granted and very likely assuming, as we all do in our earlier years, that everyone processes life as we do, and our own approach to circumstances is the norm. We can't see beyond our filter.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when we see the world, we think, well, didn't you see that? And you can't know that the person next to you saw that because every filter sees something different on the way that they, process. So then it says, that is hardly the case. He wrote this essay before he knew about personality types or had yet realized that not everyone has such readily available intuitive ability. Now, I had a lot of intuitive ability as an art teacher. I did not like writing lesson plans. They all came from inside, as everything does, but it was easier for me to feel the lessons would just come. And I'm going to tell you now, I went back to teaching and they're not coming the same way. And it's just because wherever I am, as this character, I'm probably, filtering in other types of, art, processes. Because it's, we're under or at least I was under this misperception that if you had been creative in this way, you'll stay that way the rest of your life. And it's not true because the filter gets thinner and thinner as we wake up. And so we won't get what that was where I really excelled in the intuitive ways. But I'm not, and as far as intuition now, well, for the most part, if you stay in the present, you know exactly what to do because the habitual mind is one that really is just that. It's habitual. So you want to break that and realize that it doesn't serve you. The only
Right.
thing that serves you is the higher self. Do you want to go on
Exactly.
and just close for today? Because we have 3 more minutes. So
Sure. Yeah. And look again, I'm trying to put a marker here and it won't take the marker.
that's okay. And you know what?
I'll
It's
just remember and I'll just leave it here, and go to my next book, and then it'll just stay here.
okay.
Generally it does. So, but yeah, this is so interesting too, Sharon, because he talks about um, uh, assuming that everybody else thought the same way we do. I never thought that. I always felt like I was so different from anybody else that there was nobody else who thought like I did. There was nobody else who I had no relationships with anybody when I was younger because they were all just so weird. Everybody just seemed so
Yeah.
strange to me. And it never and I knew I was weird. I was a weirdo. I've been a weirdo my whole life.
Well, you're an
So
individual. You're not, you don't go with everybody, I'm like you. I've definitely had my own, like,
not on purpose.
right, not on purpose. Yeah. But I
That's
was,
just how I am.
right. I was
If you
eclectic.
say it's white, I'll think it's gray. If
Right.
and there's nothing more telling about this than when everybody was getting Barbie. Barbie was a big deal back in the early 60s when I was a kid. There was another doll, her name was Tammy.
Yeah, I
And I
remember
don't know if you ever remember the
that.
Tammy doll.
Yeah.
All right, that was the doll. I wanted the Tammy doll. The Tammy doll was bigger
Oh,
than Barbie doll. Tammy doll didn't wear the same kind of clothes.
right.
But I remember because there was a movie with I think Debbie Reynolds played in it, Tammy.
Oh, I
And
love that movie. Yeah.
yeah. And that was what touched me. Barbie just I had no I didn't think Barbie was attractive. I didn't think Barbie was, you know, I
Well,
was
she was very much a plastic looking person.
yeah.
Not as right.
In
She just
that she
had the
looked
perfect
like a
fit
real
for
person.
people.
Right. Have you seen that movie?
Yes, I saw it. It was cute. Yeah.
Yeah, very cute because the whole point of it, and it's time for Dove and Myrna, so I'm going to get off of here. But the whole point turned out to be what? That they thought that our Barbie being an astronaut, Barbie being a
Right.
doctor, that was going to change the lives of girls. But in reality, it just made girls want to look like Barbie.
And
And
that's not healthy. Yeah. I just,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.